Hello and welcome back once again. In today's video, I'll be dealing with objective versus subjective feedback. In my previous video, I've already dealt with the importance of feedback, but now I would like to deal with certain examples related to objective versus subjective feedback. So let us move ahead. So here let us look at some of different types of feedback. So I want the teacher to give more examples in writing a thesis statement is a feedback given by a student. Now in this type of feedback, the student is being very particular as he points out to what he is expecting from the teacher. And the teacher in turn will start working on it because he wants to make the student understand or enable the student to understand how to write a thesis statement. Now let us look at another feedback. I think that the teacher is good. She is kind and understanding. Now this feedback is general and moreover the teacher doesn't get any clue as to what the student is talking about or is the student focusing on particular aspects in the teaching or particular content that she has taught. That is not very clear. So this type of feedback actually does not help the teacher to understand or to get motivated in doing good work. Moreover, this type of feedback is actually targeted at the person rather than at the content that is delivered by the person. So let us have an understanding of what is objective feedback. Objective feedback is based on facts. That is facts that a student gathers when the teacher is teaching or when the customer gathers as he is using the particular product that is manufactured by a particular organization. So it is task oriented, that helps the teacher to actually work on that feedback and try to modify his or her teaching or try to modify his time management skills or try to modify the way a particular subject can be taught in the class. It helps the teacher to focus on specific aspects. At the same time, it is measurable. And because it is measurable, and therefore it can be quantified also. And this ability to quantify and measure makes it, more, reliable and of course verifiable at the same time. So it helps the teacher or anybody, the sender, to achieve his or her goals. And that is very important. So having understood what is objective feedback, let us now move on to the subjective feedback. Subjective feedback is based on perception, emotions, feelings, and intuition of a person. And these perception and emotions are actually depends on the mood of the person. So therefore, depending on the mood, I might decide to give a positive feedback or a negative feedback. So it doesn't actually help the sender in getting the actual feedback or getting the feedback that will help him to improve or help him to modify or help him to do better work. So therefore, it actually does not help anybody in turn. Therefore, I would say that subjective feedback is biased as it is intended to satisfy oneself, that is, satisfy your ego or satisfy your feeling that yes, you have been able to hit back on somebody. So this doesn't actually help you in the long run. So having understood this, let us now move on to this particular topic, that how to turn subjective to objective feedback. So subjective feedback, has to be modified in such a way so that it becomes objective. And therefore, we need to understand that how it can be done. So for example, if somebody has given a feedback like this, I do not like the taste of spinach paneer. You go to the restaurant and you have been asked, to give a feedback on this particular dish. And you say that I do not like the taste of spinach paneer. But this is a subjective feedback and it does not help the person to understand in what ways he does not like the taste of spinach paneer. So, and in what ways he can improve himself. So therefore, if I have to change this feedback to an objective feedback, I would say, even though spinach paneer is not one of my favorite food, I would, however, appreciate the effort taken to remove the raw taste, the bitterness, and the metallic flavor of spinach. Here, I'm already stating that it is not one of my favorite food. So therefore, I wouldn't appreciate the food as such. But when I have to give an objective feedback, I will talk about the quality of the food that is prepared. So I would say that I would first of all appreciate the effort. So I'm acknowledging the effort taken by the sender to prepare the kind of dish, and therefore the talk about the quality of the food that is prepared by the sender. Here, I'm giving very specific information about the dish that is prepared by the sender. Now let us understand that it is necessary that we train the receivers to give objective feedback. And so therefore training is very important in this particular type of feedback. So we can give training by collecting more information from the receivers. How we can collect information in the form of asking questions, and we can also encourage receivers to give unbiased information. So when we encourage unbiased information, that means we are not entertaining biased information. We can immediately understand that the information is biased on the basis of how the receiver is putting it across. So we can definitely stop the receiver from giving biased information and request the receiver to give unbiased information. So for example, after the presentation is over, if the receiver is asked feedback to give on a particular presentation, the receiver might say the presentation is good. That is a subjective feedback. But if we want an objective feedback from the receivers, we will say that what did you like best about the presentation? So we want the receivers to give particular information about the presentation. And here we will definitely move towards objectivity of the presentation rather than giving more importance to the subjective feedback that I like the presentation. So having understood this, I would like to thank all of you for your patient listening.